This next section of the exhibition, My City is Tall and Jagged, recognizes that the path was not always smooth for Robbins, either as an artist or as a person in the world more generally. He tried to find relationships with friends. He questioned his sexuality. He had relations with both men and women. And he also was keen to try to change the world to the extent that he could. So even in a busy career that began moving between Broadway and ballet, starting in 1944 and continuing in the years afterwards, he also became a member of the Communist Party. He was concerned about anti-Semitism more generally and thought that the party was a way in which to address the discrimination and prejudice he had felt. A few years later, he decided that the party was not really concerned about actually addressing those, and he left. But that association with communism followed, and he became caught in the McCarthy era of the early 1950s. And starting in around 1950, he was being followed by the FBI, and he knew that his political activities were going to catch up to him. He contemplated back and forth about what to do and eventually decided to testify in front of the House Un-American Activities Committee in May of 1953. He names names, 5 of whom had been named before, a common practice to try to ameliorate the impact of such testimony, but people's lives were ruined and put on a blacklist because of his testimony. It's an act that haunted him for the rest of his life and something that he continually thought about, created worry and difficulty for him, and it's also unclear exactly why he did it. It was certainly part of the pressure of the moment. He was also concerned that perhaps that he would have been outed as a homosexual at a time when that was considered illegal activity. And he also wanted to maintain a career in Hollywood, or a possibility of a career in Hollywood, which had a far more stringent blacklist around communists than Broadway did, and the dance world. So for a combination of activities, he made this decision, and it was a fateful one, because he was at a height of fame, even by the 1950s, but the sense of being disloyal and betraying others would stay with him for the rest of his life. This section looks both at that HUAC testimony and the kind of investigation that continued even after that in the 1950s, and also the works that he continued to create, both ballet and Broadway. He created some of his most enduring ballets, including Afternoon of a Faun, and he began work on what would be his greatest Broadway success, West Side Story.